MPs last week won the ability to hold a vote to reject a no-deal scenario if Theresa May's Brexit deal is defeated on March 12, securing the right to hold a vote to extend Article 50 until an agreement is struck with the European Union. Michael Portillo suggested Brussels could exploit support for an extension to propose Britain and the EU continue talks into 2021 in an attempt to strengthen calls for a new referendum. Speaking to BBC This Week, Mr. Portillo said, "They'll say it has to be a long extension. That it's absolutely pointless to have a short one because nothing is going to be resolved in a short time. What they will really mean is we have long extension of course. We're not going to come to the brink again until we got to the end of that time limit. At the end of that time limit, if it's 2 years away, we'll be 5 years since the last referendum, and then those who want a second referendum will be able to argue that the force of the referendum 5 years before has been greatly reduced by the passage of time, despite the pressure to deliver on a Brexit deal coming from all fringes of British politics. The Prime Minister has insisted she will not personally take no deal off the table nor call for an extension of Article 50 unless Parliament forces her hand with their vote. German Chancellor Angela Merkel last week confirmed Germany would not oppose demands for an extension of Article 50, but she appeared to present a common front with French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron when she said the UK would have to justify the reasons for postponing the end of the negotiations. Listen here, latest Brexit news from theexpress.co.uk. Final countdown podcast. Brexit news. Portillo suggested the EU will push for a long extension to the talks. Image BBC Getty. French Europe Minister Nathalie Loiseau on Thursday insisted the Brexit deal Theresa May and Brussels struck in November can't be reopened. Ms. Loiseau also said, "The bloc believes the backstop, an insurance mechanism currently included in the deal to protect frictionless travel and trade on the island of Ireland, is a last resort solution to avoid a hard border between Ireland and Northern Ireland." She said, "We cannot reopen this negotiation on the withdrawal agreement because it is balanced. We don't like the backstop. We don't want to have to implement it, and if we have to, we don't want to stay in the backstop. We all agree that it should be temporary and that it's a last resort solution." Read more. Court audience erupts as Raab warns of day of reckoning if politicians betray Brexit to voters. Brexit news. MPs will vote to extend if May's deal fails and if the Commons rejects no deal. Image Express. Ms. Loiseau added the withdrawal agreement was the best possible outcome to Brexit. The European Commission has confirmed technical talks were continuing and said President Jean-Claude Juncker was available 24/7 to meet with the Prime Minister if a deal was close. Attorney General Geoffrey Cox, who earlier this week travelled to Brussels with Brexit Secretary Stephen Barclay, told the Commons the talks would almost certainly carry on through the weekend. In practical terms, the government needs an agreement by Sunday night at the latest, as any new documentation relating to the deal must be published by Monday, the day before the vote. Mr. Cox and Brexit Secretary Stephen Barclay are likely to return to Brussels on Saturday in a final bid to secure an agreement ahead of next week's crunch vote.